Welcome to HiveScience. Grief, this camera is driving me crazy today. I moved it to do the, readjusted it to do the telekinesis thing, and it threw it all off, so it's got me all over the place. Thank you for joining us today in HiveScience. I am Bree, your bombastic host, and today we have some EcoNews, and we have some strange science as well. And I'm just going to jump right into it because I'm excited to talk about this first thing. This article, it's not like a new concept or anything. This is a concept that's well defined. It's the Wallace line. I just wanted to take a moment just to teach you guys some quick ecobiology and some distribution information. Animals on either side of this line look very different despite living really close together. And here's the line. It doesn't run straight through. It goes, it bends around here. We get the Celebes Sea and then cuts back. Now this is Indonesia, the Indonesian area. This is Australia down here. And of course this is the Southeast Asia right here. So this is the sea in between them. And we're going to talk about the Wallace line. The Wallace line has shaped species diversity across Asia and Australia. But the thing is, it doesn't actually exist. It's completely imaginary. And yet its influence on species evolution is very much real. Animals and plants too, although less obviously, look very different on either side of the line, which might make sense if this were some physical boundary we were talking about, but it's not. It's invisible. So what is going on? What is the Wallace line? The Wallace line refers to an imaginary frontier which effectively separated the faunal regions of Asia and Australia. To the west of the line, you'll find species including elephants, tigers, rhinos, and orangutans. But on the east side, these are nowhere to be seen. Instead, you'll find marsupials, monotremes, and maybe the odd Komodo dragon. It is what we know as a biogeographic boundary, a border between two regions that are distinct in their biodiversity. The line was first drawn in 1859 by British naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace, after whom it is named. Wallace conceived the theory of evolution independent of Charles Darwin, to whom it is often solely credited. Not by Darwin, though. Darwin gave Wallace credit for his contribution. But was beaten to the punch when Darwin published his findings on the origin of species. The problem then was not only how and why do species change, but how and why do they change into new and well-defined species, distinguished from each other in so many ways. Why and how they became so exactly adapted to distinct modes of life, and why do all their intermediate grades die out as geology shows they have died out, and leave only clearly defined and well-marked species, genera, and higher groups of animals, Wallace wrote in his autobiography. Despite being overlooked when it comes to evolution, Wallace's travels in Indonesia have ensured his infamy elsewhere as the first hypothesis of Wallace's line. Where is the Wallace line? The Wallace line weaves its way through the Malay archipelago, running from the Indian Ocean through Lombok and Makassar Strait all the way to the Philippine Sea. Its location has been tweaked several times in the 164 years since it was first proposed. Just 3 years ago, for example, it had to be redrawn after Christmas Island threw up a curveball, although it lies nearer to islands of the west that are west of the line. Half of the land mammals and reptiles have genetic heritage on the east side. What's going on? The secret of the Wallace line lies in plate tectonics, which was it validated as a theory until 50 years after Wallace's death. And then there's the Eons video about it. Well, we can't watch that because I'm not going to get yoinked for doing a PBS coverage. The Malayan archipelago is one of the most complex tectonic regions in the world, home to several tectonic plates, which are responsible not only for its many volcanoes, but also its strange distinction in biodiversity. Once upon a time, the area around the Wallace line was made up of two continuous land masses. Today, they are known as the Sunda and Sahul Paleo continents and are much closer together than they were 25 million years ago. Over time, the two and a half drifted closer together, bringing with them very different species that spent eons evolving in very different environments and look very different as a result. What is Weber's line? To confuse things further, there's another line in the mix, Weber's line. Weber's line was proposed in 1900 as an alternative to Wallace's line. It is another hypothetical boundary that marks the difference between species found in Australia and Southeast Asia. So yeah, that was an interesting, I think that's all there is on it. Yep. So that's just wanted to bring that up. There's a cool formal boundary there in the Pacific over here, and then there's Philippine Islands and whatnot, and the Indian Ocean right here.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala